Welcome to the first Fusion 360 tutorial in this series. Today I'll be showing you around the workspace and giving you a few tips that will help you as we go forward in your journey using this application. So you should be greeted with a screen that looks something like mine once you've set up all the admin and bits and bobs beforehand. I'll run you through a few of the things on the screen. We'll mainly be using the following settings. So we want to make sure that our workspace is in solid. You'll learn more about the other forms of the workspace in due course, but at the moment we want to focus on solid, and this means that we will be modeling in a solid form as opposed to a mesh or a surface or a sheet metal. Again, we'll talk more on that in the future, but for now we are talking about solids. You will see there is a number of tools up the top here as I run my cursor across the top. They're grouped. Our first group is the create group. We'll be focusing here initially, and then the second set of tools that we'll be looking at, the modify tools. In a nutshell, the create tools do what they say on the tin. They make solid forms. Once we've made those solid forms, we can then modify, adapt and change using the tools in this section here. We've got some tools down here that will help us orbit around the workspace. Take a moment to have a look at those, but we've got the orbit tool, we've got different ways of looking at things, we've got the pan tool, we've got zoom, and the other zoom tool there. You can also toggle the screen using the cube up here. To give you some perspective of what that looks like when you've made a model, I'm going to go to what I call the waffle up here, but it's called the data panel, and I'm going to click on the data panel. This will give me a pictorial list of previous models that I've made. So I'm going to click on my cologne bottle that I made a few months ago. So I've double clicked on this. One day you'll have lots and lots of models in your inventory that you can choose from. And I'm just going to click up here on the cube, and I can start to look at my model from different viewpoints. I could also do the same by going down to the orbit tool, and that will allow me to look all the way around the model that I've made. Excellent. Now, when you become pros at using Fusion 360 and you can make a model of, let's say, a cologne bottle like I have here, you'll need to know how to explore the timeline of that manufacture. And if we look to the bottom of the screen here, there are lots of little icons. Now, what do these icons mean? Well, if we scroll all the way to this far end, you see a little cursor here. If we look down in the bottom right corner, if we move the cursor along, we will see that the model starts to change. And this is because I'm in essence going back in time, and I'm showing you the step-by-step process almost of the manufacture of this model. We'll touch on this a little bit more as we move through the course, but it's a very useful tool if you want to go back into a model and change things. There we go. Let's bring it all the way back to the start, or the end rather. Here we go. It hasn't lighted something there. What's happened? Anyway, I won't save that. Right. I want to show you how we can begin making models and manipulating shapes in Fusion 360. The rule of thumb as we begin our journey is that when we are creating 2D geometry, which we can then turn into a 3D solid body, we always start by creating a sketch. Now you'll see my cursor is hovering over this icon in the top left here, and it says create a sketch. The good thing about Fusion 360 is if you're not sure what a tool does, you can hover over the icon and it will give you a detailed breakdown of what that tool does. Now we want to create a sketch. This is pretty much where we will start every single time we do anything in the software, especially to begin with. So I'm going to create a sketch now. If we look here, some funny looking shapes have appeared. These are what we call our origin planes. They are, I like to imagine them as imaginary pieces of paper that we can begin sketches on. They are imaginary flat surfaces that are sort of floating in the middle of nowhere. What I'm going to do is click on this bottom plane, and now we are in a sketch. You'll notice that the tools that I have available to me have changed somewhat up the top here, and they've turned into two-dimensional drawing tools. If we click on the Create button, we have more options as well. Today I'm going to show you how to create a simple cube, and I'm going to click on this rectangle tool here, and I'm going to click on the origin point there, and I'm going to pull out a rectangle like so. And there we go. The rectangle's turned blue. What that tells me is that it is a fully constrained or fully joined shape. It is a closed shape, and if a shape turns blue, it means that it is able to be then turned into a 3D shape. So I've got my rectangle here, and I'm going to click Finish Sketch. And it will take me back to the world as we knew it before, except now, if I click on the drop down of sketches here, we have this sketch. I now want to make this sketch 3D, so I'm going to hover along my Create tools, and I'm going to find the Extrude tool. If I'm not sure what it does, I click on the tool, or I hover over the tool rather, and it gives me some detail on what the tool is and how to use it. Interestingly, the Extrude tool has a shortcut, which is E for Extrude. Many tools in Fusion 360 have shortcuts, and it'd be good to learn them as you go along, as it makes you a lot quicker when you're making models. So I'm going to hit E for Extrude. Now, because that sketch 1 was the only sketch in my workspace, the tool knows that that's the one I want to make 3D, so it's automatically selected that sketch. If we had multiple sketches, you would have to go and select manually the profile that we are extruding. Now, I can pull this sketch out, and if I want to adjust the dimension to make it something specific, perhaps 42 millimeters, I can type in 42. Perhaps I want it 67, I can type in 67, it will change accordingly. And I'm happy with that. I can edit anything in our box over here. Maybe I want an angle on it. Maybe I don't. I'm going to say I don't today, I just want to create a rectangle. Okay, and there we go. I can start to orbit my rectangle that I've made. Perhaps I want to make a different shape. I'm going to create sketch again. I'm going to select maybe the upright plane this time. Maybe I want to make a cylinder. So I'm going to go C for circle. As we hover over center diameter circle, we see the shortcut is C. So I can click C for circle. I can drag out a circle. Maybe I want my circle to have a hole in it, so I'm going to do another circle here. You'll see why I did that in a moment. I'm going to finish my sketch by clicking Finish Sketch. Now remember the shortcut for Extrude, E for Extrude. And I'm going to select this profile here. I could select both, and that would allow me to bring out a perfect cylinder. Or, if I select one, and not the other, I can then drag it out, and you will see there's a hole in the middle of my circle. And there we go. That is how you create 3D shapes from 2D drawings, and how you navigate around the workspace. Now I'm going to make sure that I save my work, so I save by going to the top left corner and clicking Save. It will then give me options of, firstly, what do I call this? So I'm going to call it test for video 1. Remember, good bit of organisation and folder management never goes amiss. It'll help you later on in your journey when you've got loads of models. I wish I practiced what I preach, as my organisation of files is terrible. But you can then save your model into a certain folder. You'll be way more organised than I am. But there we go. I'm going to click save, and here ends our first lesson. Go and have a play.